allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mary Lee Foster had agreed to make a presentation about the necessity of pollination and pollinators for vegetable production, and then how she protects the pollinators when applying other treatments to the crops. And I had a call from her that she's stuck in something and may show up later in the meeting. If not, she will be here on the 20th. Because she, as I believe, that's an important thing for people to get out. I know years ago, one of our eminent residents was quoted in a local newspaper saying that farmers were the worst polluters of all, and I don't believe it's true. So just to counter that, Mary Lee will at some point, maybe today if we're lucky, if she gets loose.
The 20th of December, you mean, right?
December, yeah, I said the wrong thing.
You said the 20th, but that's all right.
We both questioned whether the 20th of
No,
December.
we're not having another meeting.
I thought, well, maybe we're having turkey here, who knows, next
Maybe.
week, you know.
Let's see, the 351 Bridge Lane LLC is still working on their paperwork. So I'd like to make a motion to.
Bill, can I make a suggestion? Can we, and John, I believe we can do this, is not adjourn the application to the next meeting, but adjourn it until they provide us with additional information, so I don't have to I've been carrying this over on this agenda for over a year.
Good
It's
idea.
only a little ink.
I know it's a little ink, but
I would say so long as they know there's a date certain that if they get it in by then, it'll be on the next agenda. So if they're within, what do we do, 10 days, 16 days?
yeah,
So,
but this thing is so, it's stuck. And
I see no issue either way, if you'd like
Okay.
to.
I would like to just adjourn it until they provide us with additional information, in which
Okay.
case, when they do, I'll put it back on the
I'll be
agenda.
happy to make that motion. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. 583 Hedges Lane. Do we have somebody? Oh, come on up.
Good afternoon. My name is Tom Harton. I'm a landscape architect working for representing Lawrence Security, 83 Hedges. We presented the drainage easement plan 2 meetings 2 months ago, and we had updated the plan to reflect some of the engineering. Our wish is to clean up the site to promote positive water flow through the site. Right now, it's not graded properly. There's I think 18 eastern red cedars that are in very poor condition, and they litter the site with branches, so it actually impedes the flow. The culvert along Hedges is severely overgrown and it's really not functioning properly. So as part of this, we just want to clean up everything and promote positive flow through the site so we don't have standing water, and that's our wishes.
Great. We have information from our engineer who reviews this and says that he's happy with the paperwork now. Just looking through it, I see that the grade progresses evenly, not much grade change, but just enough so water might move eventually if we have enough rain.
Right. Yeah, we have 2 fixed points, so there's
Right.
nothing we can really.
There's only so much you can do. Just one comment, and you're probably on top of this anyway, but if you're familiar working in this area, if this has never been worked before, a lot of our soil has a very low pH, and the planting list you have might require you to pick the pH up a bit. That's all. I mean, okay. Anybody have a problem with any of this? I mean, it all looks good. I'll make the motion to approve the site plan?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll send you a-
Meadowmere. I know they're still waiting for a appraisal from the town and also on development rights. So he wants to keep the
It's short, right?
Yes.
the proposed subdivision alive, so he would like us to have a resolution to grant another 90-day extension of the subdivision plat. I probably didn't say it quite right, but anyway, I'll make that motion.
Would you- Just to bring to your attention that the effective date is actually last month.
Ah,
So the
okay.
90 days will be consecutive, so.
right, okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
And they are active on that, just so you know, that I did speak with the appraiser 2 weeks ago, so they are working on it.
It's exciting. Let's hope it works out.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
absolutely.
that be amazing?
Oh, yeah.
And Kenny's been with us in the audience and with us on our agenda for, oh, come on, Rhoda, give me an estimate.
Well, 2018?
Yeah,
Probably.
I was
Well,
gonna say pre-COVID.
actually,
yeah,
from 2007 when we had our,
of
because
course.
he was with the town before we became incorporated, so, but on and off, he's been there.
He comes on and off and,
Yep.
yeah, so it's amazing. I mean, it was worth waiting for. If it works out, I'm crossing my fingers.
We have minutes to approve. October 11th, the minutes from then. I didn't see nothing stuck out to me in them.
They look good to me. Okay.
You want to do September 13th at the same time? Let's see. And the 18th? Yeah.
Yeah, do it in one vote.
They all, I didn't even see any typos,
Oh, geez, thanks, Bill.
but it didn't look that hard. Okay, I'll make a motion to approve those 3 sets of minutes as they are printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let's see, cell tower, they're gonna present us on December 20th. Rhodey and I met with them here on the property and asked them to put it as far to the east and back as they could. And they thought they could squeeze it back there and get it to work. So hopefully that's the plan that we will see.
When are they coming?
The next meeting, the
December
20th.
20th.
They said they could show, they had something else going on today. They could show up for like 15 minutes or something. And I told them that just wasn't enough time to get questions answered. So they,
Yeah.
put it
There's a
on.
lot of, questions with
Yeah.
something techno
Right.
like this, whatever.
You forgot the police report?
Not
Oh, shoot.
not to be
I,
difficult.
no, I just write on it and I go to my writing and I don't read the rest of it. So,
Well, there's not much to report. There were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, actually 11 arrests. It's quite a few. And the traffic stops are up. They were 118 in August, 69 in September, and 99 in October, so it went up by a bit.
good.
I've been seeing them around on the, I'm not referring to the highway, but on some of the side streets, kind of hiding, and
Yeah,
I think they're out and about visibly, so that's cool.
half of them, the arrests, a lot of the arrests are on the highway or just off the highway. But a few of them weren't, like Parsonage and Sag Road and Narrow, Sag Main and Hedges. But anyway, and then the traffic stops, the 911 calls are down. August, there were 11, September 4, October 5. But the false alarms are up and the fire alarms are the false burglary alarms are down, I'm sorry, and the fire alarms are up, but they're all false, so.
That's the house, somebody coming in to do something in the house, probably.
I guess.
I don't know.
It was 19 for the false fire alarms, 19 in
Wow.
August, 9 in September, and 13 in October. Anyway, that's that.
Thank you. Let's see, local law regarding retaining walls. We had a glitch
In brain function.
yeah, right, no problem. So we're gonna reschedule that public hearing for December 20th of 2023. There was a conflict in our code disallowing retaining walls in the front yard and then allowing them. So they're just gonna pull out two
Language.
words from the right
So they're
spot.
gonna disallow or allow?
Right,
They're gonna disallow them.
yeah,
I wasn't quite sure how that was reading.
A retaining wall is considered a structure and a accessory structure, and an accessory structure is not allowed, that it has a
In the front.
setback greater than the front yard.
Yep.
So. And then in our yard code, it says you can have a retaining wall in the front yard. So we're gonna remove that from the yard section of the code.
Thanks.
so I'll make a motion to set that public hearing. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Village's insurance policies.
That's just I thought I'd have the comparison for you, but I don't have it yet. Those policies are due December 1st. I've asked them many times to get them to me a little bit earlier so that I can get them before you, but here we are in November and I don't have them yet. They do have it. I filled out all the paperwork I needed to get to them. So I may have to pay this if I get the stuff before December 20th, but I will let you know. Otherwise, you'll see it on for December 20th.
So that line is just for information purposes?
Right, as it says, I thought
Okay.
I'd have a comparison for you.
Yep.
I do not have it. The
Most
policies.
likely it went up, though.
Well, the policies themselves, there'll be no change in the coverage and everything.
Yeah.
It's just what the cost is going to be for those. So stay tuned.
The next item is setting a public hearing regarding SECRA submissions for a demolition application. We're removing it from, or making it optional, I guess, John?
So under the code as currently written, every single demolition application which would come before the Architectural and Historic Review Board had to have a SECRA, State Environmental Quality Review Act long form, which is a pretty onerous thing to put in an applicant. It's a very in-depth environmental review of the action. Not only is this kind of an onerous thing to ask for every last demolition, it's also sort of pointless because under state law, the demolition of most single-family homes is a type 2 action anyway, which just simply means that it's statutorily found to not have an adverse environmental impact. So we're just amending the code to only require a SECRA long form where the property or the structure to be demolished is within the historic district on the 2017 inventory of historic properties outside of the historic district or an otherwise designated historic landmark. We're just narrowing it to those classes of structures.
Good, thanks for the explanation.
It also make them doing business so much easier because they're the longest meeting we have monthly. They're usually 2.5 to 3 hours, so this will help them.
It'll provide for more time economy at the AHRB.
So that means we're allowing anyone to knock down anything outside of the historic district and anything that we say is historical.
It allows us to review, we still have the ability, AHRB still has a jurisdiction to review the demolition application. The only thing that this removes is the requirement that they bring us a SECRA long form, State Environmental Quality Review Act long form of possible environmental impacts. Otherwise, the code remains the same. The AHRB has the ability to review each and every demolition.
And how did this come about?
Just so that you know, we have never asked for it before until John came aboard and realized it was in our code. So
So John
He
brought it
found
to
it.
us
he
to
found
change
in our
it?
code. You brought it
We
up.
So I
just-
found in the code and that apparently
discussed.
heretofore until now, that was a requirement that had never really been acted upon. And it is massively unusual, and I'm thinking of the codes of two or three villages here on the east end, and it's very rare for particularly a long form EAF to be required.
Well, I'm thinking a long form would be good if we're worrying about the environment, regardless of whether it's in the historical district or not.
Or where things come into play, or where the state statute comes into play, all demolition and reconstruction of a single family house is considered type 2. Type 2 means that statutorily, it's almost always found to not have
Oh,
a
problem with the environment.
a probable environmental impact.
Okay.
So all that this is doing, the only real effect of this change in the code is to remove the
Make it easier for
to
them.
make it easier for people to just not, they will still have to bring all of the things that are accessory to a demolition application.
Okay,
Pictures, architectural renderings, as-built surveys. This just relieves them from having to provide a long form and us from having to review a long form and then to
got you.
approve secret.
And many times, they don't have all the information when they come to the meeting anyway. I'd say 50% of the time when asked what year was this structure constructed, the person, never the owner, it's the representative kind of pauses and
Doesn't know.
it goes on another month.
Correct.
Or they don't have sometimes the proper pictures, and if it's a flag, people couldn't get into the flag to even look at it prior to the meeting on our committee. So a lot of times it doesn't happen in 1 month by any means.
It just makes it all much more streamlined, and it brings us into conformity with most other villages. And I also reiterate that they will still need to bring in a long EAF, which is, I don't want to say it's an arduous thing, but it's a pretty substantial environmental review for anything within the historic district, for anything on the 2017 inventory of historic structures outside of the district proper, or a designated historic landmark. So it's still a huge percentage of buildings. You still will need the EAF to be submitted.
And I think that the reason why we never got it was because it is a type 2. And like John said, it doesn't require.
Gotcha.
So it's just cleaning up.
And that's really been for the last 3 that we have, since we discovered that in the code and we have had applicants bring them in, really all that I've had to do is review it, say this is, a fairly recent build house. Under the state law, it's a type 2 action anyway. The village has no reason to think that there might be environmental impact. And that in itself is not a grant of the permission to demolish. That still lays with the discretion of the AHRB. That's just the end of the environmental review.
Okay.
And the AHRB has at any point in time for any application, the ability to set a public hearing if they feel that they need to hear from the public on any application. So this doesn't really take anything away from the review by the AHRB.
Mrs. Clark?
I was wondering what the environmental concerns are for the historic district.
So for the historic district, just thinking off the top of my head, you're more likely to have buried oil tank, you're more likely to have lead, you're more likely to have maybe some ground remediation, asbestos, or maybe ground remediation from when years ago people used to change their oil and just let it run onto the gravel. So that's the background of it. And also secret takes into account not just the environment and the common usage of the word, but the built environment. So in that instance, secret will be helpful because under secret, you're supposed to look at the historicity of the structure, its importance to the neighborhood, the overall aesthetics of the neighborhood. So in that case, it is really warranted. If we are treating these properties in a more sensitive manner, being that they're in a historic district or they're on a register of historic properties, it makes much more sense to ask for a long form EAF because of both the actual environmental in that sense of the word and the historicity of the building.
Thank you.
So I'll make a motion to set a hearing for the December 20th meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 2024, we have 2 roads which should be repaved. Seascape, there's no question on that in terms of our ability to get it done. Town Line Road,
It's
We
getting
did.
worse and worse.
well, it's traffic calming.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, you're right.
We met with the supervisor, the town
Stephen
attorney, the lawyer, highway superintendent from East Hampton. And since they had an election, at that meeting, they didn't seem to be in any hurry to do anything. I guess they don't care about voters in Wayne Scott.
I did notice though, that
What?
they're repaving Waynscott
Main Street, just
Yeah.
a portion
It
of
doesn't
it.
look that bad though.
I
was
know,
surprised.
But
Town Line
what's
Road is
weird
terrible.
is in front of the chapel area, they cut out a speed bump shape.
Oh, it's a, so the asphalt blends to the,
Oh,
So
because
you're
it
just
looks
gonna
like a
go-
speed bump, and
Yeah,
I
no, it
debated
isn't.
that they were doing that.
yeah.
But aren't they, it's November 15th, aren't they past?
They have until November 30th, according to the sign, but they only.
But the asphalt plants, once you have 30-degree nights, I'm not sure,
It's weird.
they're not,
Well, that's definitely traffic calming, those.
That-
Yeah,
That's their
really.
problem.
they're shading those holes.
Yeah.
They created to merge it. I'm glad you explained that, because I thought if they put a speed bump in front of John Westerfield's old house, as you rounded that blind corner because of the hedges, that was a really weird place to put it. Now I get it. Sorry.
And it was odd because it's only a portion of Waynscott, Maine, that wasn't even the worst portion of it.
Right, yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
thought. I didn't understand
I
that.
just,
Doesn't make a lot of.
Yeah.
I'm thinking,
But Town Line Road really needs to wait until, well, whatever. I mean, it's traffic calming. It's the old Al Kelman, tear up the asphalt and slow everybody down. I don't know if you ever heard him say that, but that
I
was.
did actually. Well, I was on the board with him, yeah. I did
Yeah.
hear him say that.
So I mean, that'll have to wait until we get some kind of agreement with them. But Seascape, should we stick our engineer on setting that up to be done in the spring?
Which one is Seascape? I got them
It's
Bridge
mixed
Lane.
up with
Oh, Bridge
Crestview.
Lane near Maryland.
Bridge
Oh,
Lane.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
half of it isn't real bad, but the far end is a mess.
Our end is strange. I don't know how one end is worse than the other, but we want to ask that.
It probably floods.
Yeah,
it's,
it does. Well,
what
it did.
happens,
Yeah.
yeah, and there's like one of the houses, the driveway goes down like that, and so when it rains, it floods, and then there's other houses that cleared too much by the pond, so when they did that, it started flooding terribly.
Ah.
So there's two things that happened at almost the same time that just really killed that road.
Was it fixed or will we
Well, there's no
repave
way
it and
to-
have it get killed again?
Oh,
I-
Nikki,
Yeah, I don't know.
Wouldn't the engineer maybe give us suggestions to avoid the flooding?
Drainage.
Yeah,
I think they did put some
Right.
drainage in there
if they
since that
can raise
happened.
it, the 3
and
inches of asphalt, that usually seems to help.
I figured the engineers would have great ideas because the flooding has to be dealt with in the process, obviously.
So
Yeah.
it's agreed that we'll let Mr. Peterman work on that.
And he should go like after it rains because it really does flood down.
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Well, it's
he'll-
pretty much
he'll
flat,
do
too.
that, yeah.
Right.
Okay, so we have another public hearing to schedule. Oh, no, we did that. Where
No,
are
you
we?
did all those.
You're on Gibson Beach
Oh, okay.
entrance.
Yeah, no, you were talking about some things down there. I was thinking that maybe we could, you've got copies of the survey.
Right,
that-
everybody
that
has a
Bennett did.
copy of
Yeah.
the survey
And
there in front
Instead
of
of
them, except for you, John, sorry. to have that.
Here, we can.
having, going around and around with the engineer about, let's figure out what we want, what we don't want down there before we ever show it to Peterman, because we have to pay Peterman.
Right.
And
And
there's
this-
no reason for us to negotiate with him about it.
This survey was done by Drew Bennett when we put in the drainage, when we cleaned it up with the drainages.
In the pilings.
In the, east and west side, and we repaved it, we marked out the parking, but of course that's long gone now. Before we that's when we put the fence in, when we cleaned it up to put the fence in. When it was all
But we've
eroded.
already surveyed it, which will help us with those hedges that have encroached onto the parking.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be able to, that's one of the cleanup things. And,
I see stones in the road. I feel like there used to be stones in the road down on Gibson. Well, you would have seen when we first put this in, all
they
this
fixed
gravel,
it? Okay.
before it's got sand on top of it, but it's a French drain,
Yeah.
so it
This
should,
thing.
yes, exactly. But you can take this survey down, go take a look, see, and like Bill said, instead of us paying an engineer to throw
Yeah, that makes
ideas at
sense.
us, go down and look and see what, we need
next
to
month,
do.
we can give you our thoughts.
Yeah, and Bill threw some thoughts at me, so you can
What were your
let them know.
thoughts?
Oh, you've got to cut that hedge way back.
Big time.
On the east side.
At least from that survey, it's planted on the line, so all the growth is
And
taking
it's
up
an older hedge. We might have 10 feet, more feet there.
at least 6 feet.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
It's
took a tape
huge.
and- Yeah.
Which side are you talking about?
on the east, not
Okay.
on,
Horizontal.
Yeah.
Horizontal side.
The west
Yeah.
side's bad too.
the west could be bad.
I always reverse into it.
Yeah,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so the west should be checked too on the survey.
Well, that wall is the line, that wood wall, so the hedge actually, that's what I thought, and then when I looked at this thing, that wood wall is our property line, so their hedge is actually back, and,
But the wood wall is covered from Gibson End on the right as you're going down the road that's private. The wall is now covered from Gibson End down to our fence, which makes me question all that planting is over it. And of course, the sand built up
Right.
too. But I think we lost space on both sides, more on the east side, but we've lost some on the west too.
Mhm.
And it's just people not taking care of their growth, which sounds really weird, but you know what I meant.
And you mentioned putting up, like a fence so people can't encroach on the bike rack and all that.
That,
I think
There's a
the
way of
fence will
fixing
probably
it.
get smashed by somebody.
well.
I like driving right up to the end.
Oh,
I don't want
that
any
has to be
fences.
open.
No, we leave that open, but the bike rack area, what happens in the garbage area is people literally pull up to it, so their bumper is making it impossible for you
Oh,
to
to
get
get
to the
through?
garbage can or to the bike rack.
to the bikes, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, initially, that would,
Yeah.
I think it can be done. I have to just think a little harder.
I was thinking a couple big boulders. Because if somebody hits them.
Then they're not gonna park their car on the bike rack.
No,
I'm surprised they haven't broken it, truthfully.
right, no, it's
Um,
not very rugged.
And I also feel that if we had more space on the east side, the parking's not gonna stick out as much. So
Right.
when you park there, you could back up without hitting the other side of the road.
I'd like to see them park diagonally.
So do we want,
Everybody parks straight
Straight,
in.
and it
do we
makes,
want lines then?
well, we did have.
We used to have
Oh,
We
them.
have
yeah,
it.
okay.
I
well,
just went
I don't
away.
know, how do you write a sign, say park diagonal?
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
park diagonally, doesn't that make it harder to back
Makes it
up,
harder to back
to
out.
get out? You know, there's more of an angle. There's not a
Oh.
lot of room here on the west side. And when you're backing out, it's gonna be, it's gonna be a tighter turn, I think. We should try it.
We have to try it with a car, a big car, or a truck. The other thing we need to do is all those parts of the sign that are disappeared from the Southampton town sign. Either we put up our own sign and incorporate what we want it with their rules that we are using or something, because that sign looks like hell visually. It's missing segments that have
Yeah.
dropped off and been put in the garbage. We could clean up our visual appeal on that big sign by the garbage. And we should thank whoever brought the garbage cans back. That's wonderful. They
Oh,
came back.
mayhem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No.
they're town garbage cans.
they got stolen and then came back?
Hang on.
Well, they're back. They
Or
were
maybe the guy who emptied
I
them.
think the rectifier
Forgot.
picked them up and then decided to bring them
Right,
back.
Crestview. He used to live next to the cemetery.
No, he
Then
hasn't.
bought the
Nahum,
house,
no?
then Edward Nahum.
Nahum. It's
What
a-
What about it?
He's the one that pays to have the garbage picked up off season.
Oh. good
as
for
a
him.
good resident.
I know him very well.
He's very nice.
Who put the bike rack back?
I don't know, but it came
Did it
back.
come
Did
back?
you build one, Bill?
No,
No?
that's flimsy. I don't think it's gonna last, but
I
hey,
don't, I
somebody
don't
put
know
it there.
whether, I don't know, because I know when you told me it was gone, I asked the Parks and Rec and they said they did not remove
They
it.
didn't take
Is it the same one?
Yes, it's the same one. So Parks and
Is the
Rec,
same one?
it's a wooden one. Parks and Recs at Sag Main have metal ones, so maybe someone built this and never told us. And it was there all summer. It went away and now it's back.
Also disappeared.
Parks and Rec definitely put one there.
A wooden one?
I don't know, I can't tell you what it
Okay.
was, I just know that they put one there,
Vintage.
so.
Yeah. Well,
Maybe
we
that
could
was
clean
one.
our act up and take these surveys and come back December 20th, all of us with some just
Sure.
thought power. And take our cars and try to practice, what angles. But it had lines, and when
It
I
has, yes.
first started on the board in
But
2008.
with the sand
so-
and stuff, it just gets washed away, worn away.
Maybe it's an issue diagonally when you get up towards the beach, but when we were growing up, it was always diagonal, I feel. And
Well, you have a big hole for the electric works and the hydrant. So you could go diagonal to the right as you're facing the segment that you can't park in. You could go diagonal at one point.
I'm
and
talking
it goes
parking on the west side, the east side.
East, no, yeah, I'm talking east. There's a huge section now for, they got underground, gas down there. They got underground water down there. And there's a big electrical thing that people still back into.
Right.
And then all of us, our power goes down. So
And
initially,
another rock.
yeah, well, seriously, it's
Yeah.
that absurd, because
Or you
I'm
could just
probably the only
I've always
year-round
used them to keep
Gretchen
people
Topping
on.
and myself
Yeah.
go down in 5
Big
seconds when they hit it.
You look at the poles and you put cement in them. I can't
No,
remember. There is a
get
name for
rocks.
them. There's a name for them.
So anyway, we could clean it up and bring our ideas back to you, Bill, because it needs help.
Yeah,
Well, speaking of the beach, and I know it's not our beach, but Sag Main needs their lines redone in a desperate way. They needed it for this summer.
Yeah, I don't think they did it this
No,
summer,
You
did they?
can't, couldn't even see
they
it
did
this
it
summer.
last year, but it was a kind of a feeble
Yeah.
thing.
And
It's
then
very
when
limited.
people park where they're not supposed to, because it's to keep a flow going,
Yeah.
they don't know that they're not supposed to park there because they can't see the lines.
There's a couple of big sinkholes there too.
Yeah, they need to
Right.
be repaired, so
Where
who
are
do
the
we tell
sinkholes?
that? The sinkholes are by the pond side.
On your right-hand side?
Yeah, all the way kind of to the end.
I've asked them to look at that for drainage, to put a drainage system in there.
Yeah, one's getting quite bad.
But they, I seem to, I don't know, we're down on the,
Well, they make
Most
money on this
Eastern
page. I'm
end.
surprised they're not willing to invest a little effort into it.
but I could ask again.
Did they leave the bathroom and the garbage things there? Or-
Bathroom's
Somebody
gone.
told me there
Porta
were.
potties go on,
Porta potty's gone.
the garbage cans are still there for some reason, but surprised they left them.
Yeah,
Usually it all goes at once.
Let's get that footage on that.
Next thing, property rights and row crop farming. I have already, maybe you've seen this in the Southampton Press a few weeks ago, October 5th. It's an ongoing battle. If you talk to Mary Lee about it, she knows the whole deal. The reason I point it out is that this type of thing can happen in Sagaponic. And we have to work as best we can to try to head it off. The problem is that, well, not a problem, but the state who defines what we're allowed to regulate has a very broad definition of what farming is. And it gets difficult to, Lee probably knows this better than I do, to hem in people who say some wealthy guy, well, in this, I think the guy's, the neighbor is a lawyer or something like that, and he bought the ag reserve next to him. And he put his kid's playhouse out there, which he had to take away. He wants to put, I don't know, he wanted agricultural housing on 9 acres.
Originally, he wants now a greenhouse that doesn't look like a greenhouse.
Yeah, he wanted a permit to put up a greenhouse and had a fireplace in it. I mean, just all this stuff.
Like a guest house.
Yeah, exactly. And somehow we need to maybe get ahead of this, because this is like an endless, churning for the town. Lawsuits and back and forth, neighbors, fractious neighbors fighting with each other. And if you look at the covenants on the Hopping property up on Narrow Lane East, Mr. Hopping or somebody in the family, I guess, didn't want a tree farm next to him. And he didn't want horses and he didn't want a vineyard. He wanted Jim Pike to farm it. And so when he sold the development rights, normally you just sell off the right to put a house on it. But you can sell off the right to have trees, you can sell off the right to have horses, you can sell off the right to have vineyards. They're probably not worth a lot, but you can have it so down through history, those things just don't pop up. And actually, maybe you could get ahead of this. And I guess I'm throwing this out here because we're supposed to be leaders in the community, and somehow we have to get a message out to the people who own ag reserves that maybe they should sell off additional rights. So somewhere down the line, we're not dealing with basically a landscape company. I think I mentioned once before, what is it, Butter Lane? No, Lumber Lane. And Stahecki had a land plans, he called it. He had the ag reserve and he called it a nursery, and he had a barn, and he was running a reasonable sized landscape business out of it. Am I running amok here?
No.
Yeah, okay. And so recently that was sold to Hampton Yards, and they're a
Oh,
much
that's
bigger
huge
outfit.
outfit.
And they have huge excavators. I mean, they have probably more equipment than your brother does. I mean, the stuff is just stupendous. And a lot of that is running out of there. And do we want that happening here in Sagaponack, where some guy says, well, or the fella down by Peter's Pond, he's got all his trees out there.
Yeah, too bad we weren't ahead of it on the tree farm.
Yeah, somebody knocks on his door and says, hey, I'll give you $60,000 a year to rent space in there to run my landscape company. And all of a sudden you've got this, it looks like an excavating service.
Well, we did over the last 15, 16 years on some sites put no barn, and when the owners of the Gibson Farm Ag rights came, didn't they want to do a wildlife something or other and with hills in it?
There was a,
Proposal to take the farmland and put these hills and put wild flower arrangements all around these hills. And they were gonna call that farming, but it really wasn't farming. It wasn't being, collected at the end of the season in the whole 9 yards.
It was a landscape backyard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so initially, we did do it on that property. I'm trying to think about did we say no buildings on the pike, on the pike one down here, I mean? I feel like we might have.
Upper Sagamine Street.
Yes,
About
Upper
the
Sagamine,
fishes
I'm
just
sorry,
in there.
yes.
No, they have a building, the agri.
But the building is on Montauk Highway, not on Sagamine, correct?
No, I think it's on Sagamine.
Yeah, it's
It's on
Sagamine.
Oh,
Sagamine.
it is, all right.
Yep.
But we did it once or twice, but we haven't consistently done it, you were right. And we should look at concerns, especially since we have the potential of some other properties coming up down the line. Take it into the future as well as possibly encourage some of the other ones to sell.
Yeah, well, if
Right,
you go down to the end of Parsonage Lane, there's 20-something acres on the corner of Parsonage and Town Line Road.
The Hedges property, yes.
Yeah, if somebody knows the Hedges, just ask the question, have you ever considered selling the rights off? Because some people probably, it's not on their radar. I don't, do they live here? I think
They
he
come
was upstate or
summers,
something, yeah.
upstate, but they're here summers.
He might not realize that,
I got to know
he could do
them
that.
when they were after the fire of their barn,
Oh, right,
the night before their daughter's wedding,
right.
there. And they rebuilt the same barn as exactly the same and put it back, the
Right.
historical looking barn.
Yeah,
They seem pretty respectful, but they would be worth talking to, I agree, because they've been very respectful all along, but somebody's gonna think of them, I'm sure.
right.
Is Kenny doing, is he farming that area?
Kenny who?
Schwank.
No,
He doesn't
Pete
farm.
Dankowski, I think.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
Pete
Pete,
does.
okay,
Yeah,
all right, thanks. Cause I know it's been farmed, I just haven't watched who was
Right.
on the plat. I don't go downtown line, that end of it
right,
anyway.
right.
We should maybe sit down and look at, the
I mean,
property.
this is a quiet thing, you know.
Yeah,
you
it's a
just-
low key thing, I agree.
You know, you find some way to go and just chat somebody up and say, did you ever consider this? Really, just so it puts it on the radar. I know across the street from you, Bill, you've got, was it Mumford, I think it is?
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I heard some
She's a
rumor that
foster.
some realtor was
she's a
talking about
foster, so
selling.
that,
Huh?
She's a
that's
foster.
got Julie
That's Julie
Yeah.
Foster.
Right,
So, yeah, they have a pretty good parcel, and then Dean's got the next piece over, I think.
You also have behind, across the street behind you and Lauren, the people from Texas.
Yeah.
And they
yeah.
they might be worth talking to only because there's a quiet parcel that people don't realize.
right.
Yeah, well, he runs, he
Rents to
Ludlow,
Ludlows, yeah.
Ludlow harvests the grain out of there.
So
So,
it's hard to say. I mean, there's some quiet ones in, like you said,
Right.
in different places.
And still, the farmland that has been so-called preserved, I think that they should be approached. I mean, if it, I'm not saying a hard sell, but you just say, did you consider this? And try to get people on their radar that maybe looking at 100 years or 200 years, you don't want it where all of a sudden it's a tree farm. And if you tree farmed a place for 30 or 40 years, what's it worth for agriculture?
that's it.
You know, we've got some beautiful soil here, and supposedly we're the leaders in the community. I think somehow we have to kind of have this dribble out of here and get people thinking about this, and maybe we'll get some traction on it. We don't control the money. That's the town with the Community Preservation Fund, but maybe we can get somebody to apply. They can get a little more money out of the property, and they can sell off the right to a few additional rights and keep it just as row crop agriculture. Anyway, I just brought that up. I mean, this thing keeps staring me in the face when these articles come up in the paper and you have these, I don't know, you don't want to say they're interlopers, but you know, this isn't what we want to see here, is it? I mean, you know, where somebody's.
The
ends up with-
llamas,
Well, I guess,
Alpacas.
alpacas,
Yeah.
excuse me.
well, he's angling for a lot more than that. That's just the headline of the paper. Yeah, anyway, I wanted to bring that up and get you folks thinking about it. And if you can think of some way to just, you know, get in somebody's ear, maybe we can have a benefit. You know, it doesn't cost us anything to talk. And I don't think anybody's gonna get shot around here for bringing up a subject like that, so.
I
You
hope
never
not.
know.
You never know,
I
yeah.
also suggest looking at the town code's provisions. They have some very intricate but very good provisions for subdivisions, including agricultural reserve areas as part of the open space. Typically, it's done by a cluster subdivision where you can get smaller lots in exchange for open space.
We've
so,
done cluster.
Yeah, that's what
We've
we
done
have, yeah.
Yeah.
So I know the village doesn't have cluster, the town does. The town also has, I think there's some acronym, MPDD or AgPDD,
Right,
in which that's the contemplated use is that we're going to have a subdivision, but there will also be some continued agricultural use.
right.
So maybe mirroring some of those revisions in our own code might be worth it at some point.
We already do, John.
We did.
We pulled it right out of
You
the
pulled
town.
back,
Yeah, we
PDD,
did.
one step ahead of me.
Yeah, no, we've done 1 acre houses for lots in exchange for getting more open space previously. At like the corner ends, so you have a bigger space somewhere, somehow.
Moving on, Financially, we're doing okay. No problems there. I don't know if anybody has questions.
Do you want to do the warrants? I mean,
Yeah.
we're probably all good.
Yeah. I make a motion to expend $96,929.61 from the general fund. Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Make a motion to expend from the tree fund, $2,900. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I make a motion to expend from the planning trust and agency fund $17,378. A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And make a motion to expend from the capital highway fund $12,631.58. Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Our next meeting is December 20th at 3. Did you want to make a speech?
No, I can make a comment about something that I heard on Sunday, however, that I think maybe the village board ought to know.
You want to come up and?
Sure, although is that necessary? I guess it is.
Somebody's watching.
Actually, has there been any, two things actually, has there been any, feelings about caroling? Or about the tree, because Alondro at Madu had suggested that he would open the place.
I
for-
talked to him and he said that was fine this year since we'd be ready.
He would, yeah, but.
He would do it.
Nice.
But I think what we need is someone to be in charge of that. You know, the caroling and the you know what I mean, setting a date, stuff
That's
like
why
that.
you're here, that's why it's always been done this way. Just look at a calendar, but but we need a tree.
The tree is being planted
as we speak.
as we speak.
Right, today.
Yeah,
How
they're digging
cool
the
is
hole.
that?
We do it all.
All right, so somebody, I've got the lights, we can plug it in anytime then, right?
Yeah,
Well, not after.
You need to get
Yeah.
a key from. them
Actually, the
first.
tree never gets plugged in much before the 22nd of December, so that should be made.
well, I think we have to look at the dates too, because if you do it normally on a Friday where Christmas is, we might have to go a little earlier than the
Is
20th.
that what the calendar looks like? It's Christmas on Friday.
So, Christmas is on a Monday,
I want a Monday.
so
Could be the Saturday before.
the Saturday before is the 23rd. That's too close.
That's too close.
The Friday before that.
The Friday before is the 22nd. Or the weekend before that is the 15th.
I would
is a
suggest,
Friday,
because a lot of
16th is a
people,
Saturday.
if you do it the 22nd, I think a lot of people with Christmas being Monday on Friday the 22nd might be committed to traveling to a family member or something. I also feel every other town and village has it up for 2 weeks before Christmas. I know we've always done a couple days before Christmas, but now that we have power,
Just select the date. I've got the music.
what,
Do you want it on a Saturday?
Doesn't matter to me.
You got the 2nd, you got the 9th, you got the 16th, and you got the 23rd.
Consensus, everybody? That's the way it's always been done. Just pick a date.
but wait a minute, so who is, you're asking, are we handling getting the refreshments and all this stuff at Madu?
No, because Landro needs to have somebody provide refreshments. Generally it was, what was it, cookies and cocoa here one year. Then
All right, because
Tony-
I think when I talked to him at the bridge
Oh, yeah.
anniversary thing, I think the impression he gave me, or I talked to him at some other thing we were doing, but recently, was he would provide the place, but we would provide.
Bring cookies, that's the way it's always been.
Yeah, but I mean, the food and the cups and all that stuff is my question. So what you're asking, no, I understand that part of it, is we would purchase, you know, the cups and everything else, because people, we could get a group of people to bring the cookies and stuff like that, but you still need setup stuff, is my point.
Does our Alejandro have anything going on?
Have no
Any of
idea.
these things?
We'd have to find that out.
All right.
He might.
I'll call him, I have
The
him in
fifteenth
my
or
phone
sixteenth,
thing.
is a Saturday better than a Friday?
I think you're gonna get more people on a Saturday.
It's up to you, Phyllis. I've always just done this, so whatever happens, happens. I mean, you can't, like you say, it's Christmas holidays, it'll be all sorts of
Carrie, you
things
shooting for
happen.
the 16th?
I guess.
That
What's
sounds
everybody
fine.
else think?
Sure.
16th is
Let's
fine.
try it.
Let's try it.
See if Alondro's got enough as.
I'll talk to him,
Yeah.
but what we need is,
Is it at 4 or at 5?
No, it was at 6, I think.
That's too late.
Change it. I don't
it's dark, it will be dark by 4:30.
Don't you think it's too
Yeah.
late?
5:30?
I would make it 5 o'clock, truthfully, because then you're more apt to get the school
Younger crowd.
kids and the
Right,
younger,
crowd.
yeah,
Okay,
and it'll be dark,
sure.
without a question. And so I think the question is, it's one thing asking people to you bake something, you do this, you do that. We still need beverage and cups and setup. Is the village going to pay for that, or are we gonna ask people to provide that?
I think the only time the village ever paid for anything, and I wonder whether they did then, was apple cider. We had it one year, maybe. I think not, I think it was all volunteer.
I think Don went and got somebody brought the apple cider, Don got it, and the donuts from the
Okay.
milk pail. I had the cups and the plates and, but yeah,
It's never been,
everybody brought.
it's never been,
Everybody
very
brought cookies
formal.
and stuff.
right,
I mean, if you want, I can just check with Alejandro, see what he has down there. If not, I'll just get some
Well,
paper
when we
plates
did
and cups and
The luncheon down
napkins.
there,
I
for
provided
the
everything.
East End mayors,
I provided
It's
everything.
we had to
okay.
provide everything. I don't think
The
he
way
has.
I'm looking at it really right now is by virtue of you taking it upon yourself to ask Alondro, then ask him what he would like to have provided. And then as a group, we'll make it happen. Rhodey is of course always the person to call. I think
What I
you're
would
right.
do
think
is
it
I
was
would send out an email to the
Sure.
600 and some odd emails I have.
bring cookies.
And, tell them that to bring cookies,
Right.
but we can provide whatever Alejandro needs. as far
I'm
as
pretty
cups.
sure from when
Cups,
we
plates,
did
and
the
napkins,
mayor's
as far as I
thing, we need the cups, the plates and the napkin. Remember I trucked because we had nice glassware for that. We can go paper cups for this.
Oh,
That's a whole different whole wax.
Yeah.
No, this
But
is
he
just
doesn't
great.
provide that, is my point, from our experience
Got it.
when we did our luncheon there for the mayor.
Do you want to
East End.
contact him, or do you want me to?
What?
Do you want to contact him?
No, I'll contact him about the 16th, 5.
Okay.
But if we light it at 5 PM, we'd be going down to him around 5:30-ish.
Allow to get a bigger
No, we
crowd.
live before that.
No, it'll
And
be
people
lit
that
before
just wanna
then.
see
Yeah, this is the
magic.
lighting thing.
Oh, all right, so we're starting at his place at
After,
at 5 or
it'll
after?
be 5:30.
Yeah, I'm just saying,
So
5.
you're gonna
Between
be up-
5:30 and 6.
You're gonna be at the tree at
At
5
5,
o'clock
right.
to
Yeah.
sing. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Okay, fine.
So
And
the
then-
tree is up and you ladies are gonna put the lights on the
Yeah, that's
tree?
easy.
And you're gonna plug it in, let me know, because I have to unlock the box.
Yeah. And I have the extension cord and Lee has the lights. I can get people to help us put it up, but it's
So
not
you're
gonna be
not-
that tall the first year.
You're not going to light the tree at 5 o'clock on the 16th,
No,
is that
not at all.
correct?
When we put the
Yeah.
lights on, the plug will go in the plug.
Where's the surprise?
Where's this right? Okay, so
No, we gotta get in the spirit. We need it a lot sooner than that.
we need it sooner nowadays. So Lee and I, after Thanksgiving, it looks like the tree should be in the ground tomorrow
Okay, that's cool.
at the latest, or maybe this afternoon.
Today, it's done.
Oh,
Well,
The
the hole
tree's
was
in,
being
do
done,
not
but
worry
it wasn't
about the
in
tree.
on my way down. On our way
Don't
home,
worry
it
about
could
the
be in.
tree.
Yeah.
Tree's
So
in.
Lisa, you and I will
And,
talk when we.
We
put the
can,
lights
right
on.
after Thanksgiving, and I have a little workforce of
Green,
the
right,
SAG
yeah.
school kids,
There's always
and
been
my
a tree.
grandkids.
Even better.
And we have a short tree. We're starting
So
with
it's
6 to
pretty
8.
simple.
Well, yeah, 6 to 8, so, wasn't that it?
Yeah.
So it's not gonna be,
9, I think I said.
you and
One
I will not
strand.
be on ladders,
strand.
but my son-in-law will
Sounds
bring
great.
his pickup truck and ladders in case we need it or whatever, and we'll go from there. And,
That's why I've never noticed.
That's it.
All right,
It's
go ahead.
open this
Yeah,
Friday.
that's old and that's
Yeah.
done. No, the one thing that I really just wanted to tell you is that Louis Mizell, on a Sunday, it was a lecture over at the Southampton Art Center on Sunday. They had Audrey Flack there. She is a magnificent woman, and if you've ever gone past Louis Mizell's sculpture garden, it's on Wilkes.
Very attractive.
She has one of the most dynamic sculptures there, and she was a speaker, and the lecture related to her work. With that, and now I'm telling you that which he said publicly, so I just am bringing it to your attention so you're not left in the dark. He said that he intends to give all his sculpture to the Parish Art Museum. And he intends to do this relevant, I'm assuming, as gifts and whatever. But he is also then going to give the Parish Art Museum that, I think it's a building lot. So that is also going to be a gift, according to Louis at that moment on Sunday evening. Things change. But just to know that his generosity and his interest in the arts is quite obviously there in Sagaponic for all these many years. But that's the next step for him.
That's
So
nice.
I think
Wow,
that
that's
was really
amazing.
That is amazing.
right? And I'm sure the Parish Art Museum is just jumping up and down, you know, probably looking up, they sell that property, it's wonderful endowment. So that's what I wanted to tell you.
Wow, that's.
Thank you.
incredible.
Thank you, that's
Yeah,
awesome.
It's pretty wonderful.
So we're going to adjourn to executive session.
To discuss matters of litigation.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Lee. We'll talk this week.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
You haven't said critical.
What are you up to?
Hey.
Oh.